Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavati Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verses 1 to 4.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñātvā munaya sarve Param siddhimito gataha Idam jnanamupashritya Mama sadharmyamagataha Sarge pinopajayante Pralayena vyathanti cha Mama yonirmahad brahma Tasmin garbham dadhamyaham Sambhava sarvabhutanam Tato bhavati bharata Sarvayonishu kaunteya Murtaya sambhavanti yaha Tasam brahma mahadyonihi Aham bija pradapita.
Chapter 14 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is entitled as Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of distinction of the three gunas. It has 27 shlokas, and these 27 shlokas are divided into 4 topics by Swamiji. All these topics are for us to understand the thought flow. This chapter is called as Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. It's talking about the 3 gunas. And 3 gunas, when we say, what is called as Triguna Atmika, Maya is called as Triguna Atmika. In the previous chapter, he discussed about Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, what is to be known, what is knowledge, etc., etc. Jnanam, Jneyam, all that he spoke in the previous chapter. So when he said, and the previous chapter is called as what? Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga Yoga. The distinction between Kshetra, the field, and Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. So there, when we discussed about Purusha and Prakriti, we explained that Prakriti is nothing but the Maya Tattvam. It is nothing but the Maya. When Maya and Brahman put together, we call it as Ishvara. Maya Sahita Brahman is Ishvara. And Ishvara animating the Maya, this universe has come about. Right? So this is the whole thing we have studied. So this Maya is Triguna Atmika. The 3 gunas are inherent in Maya. So when it manifests, everything that has come out of Maya will have 3 gunas. So this chapter is going to talk about these 3 gunas in detail, because if we have to cross these gunas to realize the self, we need to understand about these gunas. Right? Because every one of us are also nothing but the combination of spirit and matter means 3 gunas. So all of us have these 3 gunas, and Brahman is Nirguna Tattva. And it is called Guna Atita, something that is beyond the gunas, beyond all qualities. So to attain that Brahman, which is beyond all qualities, we need to go beyond these qualities, for which we need to understand these qualities. See, whenever we want to manage or control and go beyond, we need to first understand. So, like I've always given this example of cricket, how the batsman handles the ball, when the bowler is bowling. He understands how the bowler is holding the ball. So when it pitches, how it's going to swing. Is it going to come this side or that side? Is it going to a ball that he needs to leave, or is it a ball that he needs to defend or attack? All that he sees, gives himself a distance according to the delivery. Either he goes forward or backwards, gives a little gap between the ball and himself, and then deals with the ball. Because he understands everything, he is able to deal with it better. Similarly, if we have to go beyond the Maya, we need to understand about the Maya and its manifestations, the three gunas, and also about Brahman. And with the help of Brahman, we need to go beyond the Maya. Whereas we studied that this so-called Shakti called Maya is subservient to Brahman, whereas it is controlling all of us. We are all controlled by Maya, whereas Brahman or Ishvara controls Maya. We even discussed the example of policeman controlling a thief vis-a-vis policeman being controlled by the president of a country or a prime minister of a country, who are escorting the prime minister. When the prime minister is surrounded by the police are not controlling the prime minister. The prime minister is controlling the police, right? Whereas when the thief is taken by police to the police station, 2 or 3 policemen are taking the thief to the police station, thief is controlled by the police. So the Maya, the Prakriti, the Shakti is controlled by Ishvara, whereas the same Shakti Maya is controlling all of us, right? So we are all bound by Maya. So if you want to go beyond Maya, 2 things very important. One is understanding about Maya and its manifestation. The second is understanding about that Ishvara Tattvam, which is beyond Maya. Understanding that Ishvara, identifying with that Ishvara, identifying with that Brahman, we need to deal with the Maya. I even told you, I think in that context I explained with that example of snake around Lord Shiva's neck. Asks Garuda, hey buddy, how are you? You understand? If the snake is not around the neck of Lord Shiva, will the snake ask Garuda, the eagle, how are you? Eagle will finish off the snake. But the snake is around Lord Shiva. So therefore, coolly it asks, how are you? You understand? Similarly, we need to therefore identify with Brahman, Ishvara, and then deal with the Maya. So therefore, in this chapter, he discusses about the three guna in detail. The first topic is from verse 1 to 4. Realizing Brahman, sages transcend creation and dissolution. Prabhava and Pralaya. Prabhava means creation, Pralaya means dissolution. Now, all of us go to Pralaya at night, go to sleep. You understand? And then next day morning, we have our Prabhava. We wake up. This is with reference to the microcosm. Same way, the entire macrocosm goes to Pralaya and comes back to Prabhava. The total dissolution and total creation. So he says, sages transcend this creation and dissolution. Meaning what? They don't come back. They go beyond creation and dissolution. How? By realizing the Brahman. By becoming one with Brahman, they, having gained the knowledge after qualifying properly and practicing the sadhana that is necessary and gain the knowledge, and as soon as they gain the knowledge, instantly they become one with Brahman. Right? See, all other knowledges are called as sadhana jnana, whereas this knowledge of Brahman is called as sadhya jnana. The sense you gain something from in the school, you have to go back and practice in the world and then acquire the benefit that the knowledge will give. Whereas if you are qualified and you are gaining this knowledge, immediately you wake up. You understand? You are told, you are not the body, mind, intellect, you are Atma. You are not the body, mind, intellect, you are Atma. Nothing has happened to you. Nothing has happened to us. That is because we are not yet fully qualified. In the Ashtavakra Gita, sage Ashtavakra says, the highest student, as soon as he hears from the Guru, immediately he wakes up. Thereafter he or she identifies only with Brahman and becomes Brahman. So the fault is not in the knowledge, the fault is in the student. When the student is really qualified, then the knowledge immediately wakes him up. So upon realizing Brahman, that's why I said properly qualifying through proper sadhana and gaining knowledge and then realizing Brahman, because that person thereafter starts identifying only with Brahman. Then the law comes into effect, which is, as you think, so shall you become. So by constant identifying with Brahman, they become Brahman. After having understood about, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Nyayam, Purusha, Prakriti and all that, you should be identifying with Purusha. Even in the very second chapter, Atma, Anatma, Viveka was discussed in detail. If you remember, we have mentioned this before. Second chapter is a summary of the entire Gita. 18th chapter is also a summary of the entire Gita. Initially, whatever Sri Krishna wanted to say, he has already said that. He has already given the knowledge in the second chapter. Then he is only elaborating from 3rd chapter till 17th chapter. Then in 18th chapter, again he is giving the summary from different angle. That's about it. You understand? So therefore, in the second chapter also, we have already studied about Atma, Anatma, Viveka. What is Atma? What is Anatma? All that. What is the reason we study all this? The reason we study all this is to develop Vairagya with reference to Anatma and develop Mumukshatva, develop hardening desire for liberation. This is the idea. When you understand the value of this world vis-a-vis Brahman, vis-a-vis the self, when this was clearly explained that this world is not independent, it is dependent on Brahman. Brahman is Satya. This world is Mithya. Mithya means, for example, chair is Mithya, wood is Satya. Wood independently exists whether or not it is being made into a form like chair or table, etc. But a table or chair cannot exist independently without wood. So table or chair is dependent on wood. Wood is independent of table and chair. So we say in this context, wood is Satya and table or chair is Mithya. So this world is dependent on Brahman, whereas Brahman is independent of world. World means everything. Objects, emotions, thoughts. OET. OET is Mithya. Brahman or pure consciousness or the self, Atman, is the reality. It is Satya. So now when we understand Satya, Mithya, if you are a student who is highly qualified, what will be happening in you? You will be instantly instantly identifying only with Satya. And you will develop detachment to Mithya. Detachment in the sense what? Only for transactional purpose you will be using the objects, emotions, and thoughts. You will not give the objects, emotions, and thoughts undue value. But is that what is happening in us? All that is good. Okay, this is Satya, this is Mithya, but then we have so much importance attached to Mithya. And we don't really care about Satya except for the puja time or except for the time when something goes wrong. You understand? So therefore, the fault is not in the knowledge. The fault is in the qualification. We need to qualify more. If you are a true student, you will not doubt the knowledge. You will say, I need to do more sadhana. I need to qualify more. So he says, realizing Brahman, sages. Sages meaning, who are the sages? Those who have through sadhana, through knowledge, identified with Brahman, transcend creation and dissolution, transcend Maya, and have become one with Brahman. This is the discussion in verse 1 to 4. Then the second topic is where he actually comes to what he wants to discuss in this chapter. From second chapter onwards, he discusses Gunatraya Vibhaga, which is, second topic is from verse 5 to 13. 5th shloka to 13th shloka. Nature of Satva, Rajas, Tamas. The three gunas are what? Satva, Rajas and Tamas. Gunas, qualities. How they bind beings. What is the nature of Satva, Rajas and Tamas? How they bind us. Interesting thing is, not only Tamas and Rajas binds us, even Satva binds us. That's why, though we say our goal in life should be to move from Tamas to Rajas to Satva, we also say that we have to go beyond Satva. When we need to go on increasing Satva, we also need to go beyond Satva. So the logic we give there is, all the three gunas will exist together. No one particular guna can exist alone without the other two. You understand? So therefore, in fact, Rajas and Tamas are the two extremes. Sattva is the balance. So how can you say that one extreme will exist without the other? And when both extremes are not there, what balance are we talking about? You understand? So therefore, when we say Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva is the balance between Rajas and Tamas, which are the two extremes of the mind. One extreme is inaction. Other extreme is absolute indulgence. Absolute indulgence is Rajas. Inaction is Tamas. Sattva is balance. So, nothing or no guna can exist by itself. All three will exist together. You understand? Now, what we need to do is, we need to bring about balance in us, not go this extreme or that extreme. And in the balanced mind alone, can the knowledge bring about the transformation. Understand? An extremely indifferent, lazy, lethargic, inactive person, when the knowledge is given, it will not go through. He is sleeping. How will the knowledge go through? Or an extremely indulgent, preoccupied mind a person is having, nothing will go through. No knowledge will go through. So therefore, only in a balanced person, knowledge will go through. So, first we need to come to Sattva. We need to annihilate Tamas, manage and annihilate Rajas, increase Sattva, come to 100% Sattva. When we come to 100% Sattva, Sattva cannot exist by itself. As I said, balance has no meaning without Tamas or Rajas. Then you go beyond the Sattva and you attain Brahman, which is beyond the gunas. And once you go beyond the gunas, these gunas cannot bind you anymore. Understand? But as long as you are in this world, you are having Satva, Rajas, Tamas, the gunas have certain binding effect on us. How they bind you, all that he discusses. What is the nature of these gunas and how they bind us. That's what is the discussion from verse 5 to 13. Then verse 14 to 18, the discussion is consequential effects of Satva, Rajas and Tamas. Now, when a person is predominated by a particular guna, he or she is known by that guna, called by that guna. Sometimes Satva predominates over Rajas and Tamas. Sometimes Rajas is predominating over Tamas and Satva. Sometimes Tamas is predominating over Rajas and Satva. If Satva is predominating in you, you are called Sattvic. If Rajas is predominating, you are called Rajasic. If Tamas is predominating, you are called Tamasic. Right? And whatever is predominating us, accordingly, the direction of our life will be. And at the time of death of a person, whatever is predominating, you understand? Accordingly, the person will take birth in the next Janma and continue. Right? So he discusses all that consequential effects of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas after death and while being in this body, all that he discusses from 14 to 18. That is the third topic, consequential effects of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, 14 to 18. Then 19 to 27, he talks about transcending gunas, the embodied becomes Brahman. How the person who's gone beyond the gunas has become one with Brahman, and what are the marks of that person? It is similar to the portion we studied in the second chapter. In fact, we are studying that in our Sunday class. Every Sunday, we are doing Gita chapter 2. In fact, in that second chapter, we just started the Sthita Prajna portion, verse 54 to 72. Just started in 54 and 55 last week. So there, we are talking about a person who's reached Brahman. Same discussion happens here from this shloka number 29 to 27. Sorry, 19 to 27. In that he talks about the marks of a person who's reached. First of all, what is the benefit of gaining this knowledge? You cross the gunas. You transcend the gunas. Once you transcend the gunas, you are no more embodied. He says no. Transcending gunas, the embodied becomes Brahman. What is Brahman? Brahman has no body, nothing. No causal body, no subtle body, no gross body. When the same Brahman expresses through the causal, subtle and gross body, we call that as embodied expression. Isn't it? So we are all embodied. Now, when the embodied sage, through the knowledge, stops identifying with any of these bodies and identifies only with Brahman, he goes beyond the gunas, becomes absolutely free from these binding bodies and becomes Brahman. You understand? He becomes absolutely one with reality. That is from shloka number 19 to 27. What are the traits of such a person? All that is discussed in this portion. This is the initial introduction for you for chapter 14, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of distinction of three gunas. With this introduction, now let's get on to shloka number 1.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñātvā munaya sarve Param siddhimito gataha.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Blessed Lord said, Sri Bhagavan, Sri Krishna said to Arjuna. See, it's a conversation that is going on between Arjuna and Sri Krishna. So many of the chapters you find Arjuna is asking a question and Sri Krishna is answering. Some of the chapters like this, you see that Arjuna is not asking any question or something. Sri Krishna is continuing his discussion. So here he says, Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam. I will again declare the supreme knowledge, the best of knowledges, which having known, Yajñatva. Why should I know that? He says, Yajñatva, which having known, all sages have gone from here to ultimate perfection. Here means from this world, here means from the entanglement to the body. Body, when we say, to the causal, subtle and gross body. So, Yajñatva Munayas Sarve. Having known, who goes? Munayaha goes. Sages go. You understand? Sages, all the sages, whoever it is, it's not just one or two individuals, many, whoever, all sages go to, from here they go to where? Ultimate perfection. Siddhimito gataha. So what he is trying to say in this shloka, first of all, when he says, I will again declare, means I already told you this. He is going on repeating the same knowledge in different angles in the entire Gita. Understand? See, first of all, the repetition is not because the Guru is interested in repeating it. Our Guru has only that much knowledge to give. He has nothing much to say, so he goes on repeating it. You understand? Why is the repetition? Repetition is because of the student. Understand? When the student is highly prepared, repetition is not needed. In the Upanishads, you hardly find repetition. And if they repeat, means they are emphasizing something. You know, in the Kena Upanishad, he says, that alone is Brahman, not what you people worship here. 5 times he says, Chakshujana pashyati, ena chakshu bhumshi pashyati, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yadidam upasate. He goes on saying that, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yadidam upasate. In 5 shlokas, 5 mantras he repeats. That alone is Brahman, not what you people worship here. Why is he repeating? Because he is trying to emphasize something. When they want to emphasize, there is a repetition. You understand? Otherwise, they don't repeat. And also, they want to explore the same information from different angle. Because if you did not understand it from one angle, they are explaining from another angle. The idea is, since you have surrendered, Arjuna surrendered in the 2nd chapter. You understand? He surrendered and said, please tell me what is good for me. I want to know what is good for me. Yashreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me sishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am thy disciple. So till I get it, this knowledge will be repeated from different angle. So Sri Krishna says, I shall declare the supreme knowledge, the best of knowledges. Also, by constant, repeated dwelling upon the world, we have become worldly. You understand? And this we have been doing it mechanically as a routine. From morning till night, we keep on dwelling in the worldly chinta, worldly thoughts. By that constant, unintelligent, unconscious dwelling, we have become worldly. So now if you want to reach that supreme state and become Brahman, you need to consciously, constantly dwell upon it. Therefore, the same subject is repeated and discussed again and again. You understand? So he says, I will again declare the supreme knowledge. We are not talking about ordinary knowledge, he says. I'm going to be talking about the supreme knowledge. How is this knowledge supreme? What does this knowledge do? And he also calls it as the best of knowledges. Uttamam. You understand? He says, Param Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam. He used the word Param as well as Uttamam. So he says, I will declare you the supreme knowledge. See, when we say knowledge, the knowledge that we have today in the world is conditioned knowledge. It's qualified knowledge. It is of something. You understand? If I ask you, do you know? Is it of what? Knowledge of what? Understand? You say knowledge of the table, knowledge of that anger. You understand? So, whether it is about perception or about emotion or about a thought, it is all of perception, of emotion, of thought. Knowledge of that perception, knowledge of that emotion, knowledge of that thought, isn't it? So, our knowledge is conditioned knowledge, conditioned by either perception, emotion, or thought. Are you with me? So, the pure consciousness that he talks about as Brahman is unconditioned knowledge. It is not knowledge of, it is the very knowledge that makes you become aware of everything. If the pure consciousness were not functioning, your eyes cannot see and you won't gain the knowledge of the perception. Your ears cannot hear, then you won't gain the knowledge of that perception. Similarly, if it's not functioning, the mind cannot feel the emotions. If it's not functioning, the intellect cannot conceive the thoughts. So it is that knowledge which is the substratum. Understand? It is the substratum of all knowledge, and hence it's called as the supreme knowledge, unconditioned knowledge. It is not knowledge that is conditioned by objects, emotions, and thoughts. It is knowledge which is the primeval source of all the senses, mind, and intellect for you to gain that knowledge. That knowledge I'm talking about, the substratum. And then he calls it as the best of knowledges. Why? Time and again we have discussed this example. When a person is qualified as a doctorate, he's got doctorate in dream world. Let's say you are in a dream world. In the dream world, you are a PhD. There's another person who is master's degree holder. There's another person who is a graduate, undergraduate. There's another person who is only qualified up to 10th. Another person who is qualified up to 5th. You say that the 10th standard fellow has more knowledge than the 5th grade. Isn't it? Undergraduate has more knowledge than the 10th. Master's fellow has more knowledge than the undergraduate. PhD has more knowledge than the master's guy. But all of them are ignorant of their original nature in the dream, because the entire dream has come from one waker's mind. When you go to sleep, you, the waker, Surabhi, Sonia, Satish, all are what? All are wakers. Rajiv is a waker. Now when Rajiv goes to sleep, he falls into dream. And in the dream, so many characters are there. You understand? All of them which I refer to as having different graduates or postgraduate or doctorate or whatever qualifications. Each of them may be slightly more knowledgeable than the other. But all of them are ignorant of their original nature, that they are all what? Waker who's now fallen into dream state. They're ignorant. You understand? So you cannot call that knowledge as the best of knowledge. In spite of all this, you still continue to be in ignorance. You understand? In spite of the knowledge, you still continue to be ignorant about yourself. And whereas when you wake up to the waking state, you understand about the entire dream. You have perfect knowledge about the entire dream. You are no more ignorant about the dream. Therefore, that is called the best of knowledge. You understand? And once you have got the knowledge of the waker, then in case you have to get into the dream, which doesn't happen in the actual life, you don't get into the same dream again. But assuming that you will have to get into the same dream, you'll be able to deal with every character, every situation very nicely, isn't it? Objectively. So, once you've got this clarity about yourself, who you are, what you are, how from you this entire universe has manifested, all that we have discussed in many chapters before. That's why he said, this knowledge I will declare you again. He already talked about all this, especially if you see in the 7th chapter, 9th chapter, 13th chapter, and all these chapters he discussed it. How from that one Brahman, this entire universe has come about. You understand? Now, once you got this understanding, this knowledge, to the extent you've got it, then you will be able to deal with them very easily. See, like in the morning, early hours of the day, 5 o'clock or 5:30, nowadays slightly later because of winter, that was around 5:30, the sun starts coming out, isn't it? At dawn, even though the sun has not fully come out, you can switch off your lights and easily move about. You don't need the sun to come out fully, isn't it? As it comes out fully, it becomes even more easy, right? But even with little knowledge, little bit of sun coming out, you're able to very clearly move around. So even with little knowledge of Vedanta, little knowledge of yourself, you will be able to handle everything easily. But if you gain the knowledge like the sages do, understand, then it is just a child's play for you. So therefore, it is the best of knowledges. Swamiji gives that interesting example, which also we have discussed many times, about direction. You know, when a person is lost in a desert, without mobile phone, no GPS, nothing, the person can get back to the city only using the sun. The sun rises above, you know that is the east. So once the east is clear to you, then you know all other directions, isn't it? Which is west, which is south, which is north, northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, everything you know. Then accordingly, you can move towards your city. All you got is one direction. Similarly, once a person has knowledge about oneself, the person can easily move about in this world. That's not the case with a person who has got PhD in a particular subject. Even PhD in the theoretical Vedanta. You understand? In many places you can go and get doctorate in religious studies. Isn't it? You can be an undergraduate or graduate from one of the best universities in the world on religious studies, where you might study all this what we are studying. You understand? Maybe, I don't know. Advaita philosophy, Dvaita philosophy, Vishishtadvaita philosophy, everything you have studied. You are even able to communicate that well to others. So what have you got? You are only a doctorate in religious studies. But do you really know about yourself? Not really. And to that extent, you continue to suffer in this world. You continue to be affected by the changes in this world. Understand? Small little change can affect you. That's enough. You understand? It depends how long a person is affected. Some people are affected for a week, some people are affected months, some are affected for years together or the whole life. Just a small instance is enough. Now in the social media and many places, after this IPL auction, the big thing that is being discussed is that Prithvi Shah, youngster who was playing for Delhi Capitals, is not in the auction. He has not been sold to any team. Understand? So they don't want him to become another Vinod Kambli, etc. They are discussing. everywhere. The sense has not been selected. So the fellow can become dejected. I don't know what has happened to him, but these discussions go on sometimes. People say, we hope that he doesn't go that way. I hope he learns from this jolt and then comes back well, playing the, Ranji Trophy, etc. So anything small or big can put a person off track or put a person on track. Depends on the strength of the inner personality, isn't it? Depends on the strength of the inner personality. So if the person has this knowledge, the best of knowledges, then he will have direction and will not be going off track because of something good happening or something negative happening. In fact, even bigger challenges, to see the fame when you are very young. In fact, they say that is also a very big danger in sports. When you are very young, you start seeing all this fame. It's incredible. Thousands of people chanting your name, tattooing your name, wearing the t-shirt which has your name. I mean, you can go mad. You are not careful how to handle that fame. So it's even more difficult to handle fame than rejection. So therefore, this is the best of knowledge so that you will be balanced. You will not succumb to the pairs of opposites. Hence, he calls that as the best of knowledges, best of all knowledges. Once you know the East, you know all directions. Once you understand about yourself, then you will be firmly rooted and guide yourself very well in this world. So, which having known all the sages. The word used for sages here is munayaha. Munayaha means one who is silent. Maunat munihi. One who is silent. One who has gone beyond the mind. And one who is silent means what? One who is silent in the sense is fully collected, calm, composed, and with awareness expresses himself or herself. Isn't it? Silent doesn't mean he will not speak. She will not speak. They may speak, but very little. And even if they speak little bit, it will be apt to the context. Nothing more, nothing less. You understand? So, munayaha. Also, muni. Munayaha is plural. Muni is the singular. Who is a muni? Mananat muni. Means one who is able to reflect, think. See, same experience we are also having, the poets also have. You also saw the same thing. Poet also saw the same thing. But a poet is able to bring a deeper interpretation of what he or she saw. Well, you are not able to. Isn't it? So, the same world, we are not able to rather see the divinity. Whereas the Muni is able to see the divinity pervading the universe. Understand? So, through reflection, they see the reality, the substratum behind everything, and they identify with it. And also, Munayaha means those who have put in effort and through sadhana, they have understood, imbibed this knowledge, brought about transformation within. And all these people who did that, Sarve Munayaha, all sages, what did they achieve? Have gone from here in the sense, from what? From this embodiment, from this entanglement, from this condition. From this condition, they've risen above to that ultimate perfection. Siddhim. Siddhim ita. Siddhimito gataha. They've gone from here. So in other words, see, many of us say that I just want to have a different environment. Give me another environment or another embodiment. There I will start working fresh. Your emancipation can happen only here, from this condition. So in other words, whatever condition that you are facing today is perfectly suited for your emancipation. Your vasanas, your karma deserves this environment. Therefore, you got it. So you have to find your salvation from here only. Isn't that what we all say? I have to just get out of this place. Within Delhi, sometimes you say, I don't want to live in GK2 anymore. Let me move from GK2 to some other. If I go there, everything will be fine. Our fellows are waiting to move from Delhi itself. I just want to go to some other city. I want to get out of India. You understand? Come what may. Or get out of any country for that matter. Then I think everything will be fine. From here, from this world, being wherever they are, they rose themselves to that height. How? Through sadhana. By refining themselves. By refining themselves and imbibing this knowledge, putting that into practice, by identifying with the reality, they went to what state? Siddhi. Siddhi means the absolute perfection, which is self-realization. Sages have gone from here to ultimate perfection. Param Siddhi. See, there are many Siddhis we attain, no? Many goals. After attaining, you understand, hey, what kind of goal is this? This is useless. This is what I'm going to get. I didn't know. I thought it will be the end of it. Isn't it? Many times, when we ask, we think after getting that, everything will be fine. But after getting that, we realize, actually, that is not the end of it. Something else, something else, something else, something else. So when he says Param Siddhi means thereafter there remains nothing else to be achieved. Attaining beyond which nothing else remains to be attained. Meaning, attaining which there will be absolute contentment. Attaining which there will thereafter be no more running after for happiness. Thereafter you will be filled with happiness. You have come to Satchit Ananda. Understand? That which is always existing is called Satva. That which is conscious, you understand, that is called Chit. And that which is the conscious principle is called the Chit. And that which is uninterrupted, unintercepted bliss is called Ananda. So you achieve that Satchit Ananda Swarupa. You become one with Brahman. You become blissful. Thereafter, in your life, there will be no more struggle to find bliss. Thereafter, everything in your life will be done or not done out of bliss. That's the major difference. Thereafter, everything, whether it is done or not done, will be out of bliss. So, it is not a discontented pursuit thereafter. In our life, if you see today, we are constantly discontented and our whole pursuit is discontented pursuit. Thereafter, it is no more discontented pursuit. It is contented existence. Therefore, thereafter there is no more pursuit. There is nothing to be pursued. You understand? So that's why he says Param Siddhi. That which is to be known. The same thing Yudhishthira asked to Bhishma Pitamaha. He first asked Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna says, let's go to Bhishma. In the Mahabharata, after the Kauravas were conquered and Yudhishthira is coronated, he's become the king. Means what? Siddhi attain ho gaya. You achieve the goal. You become the king. You understand? Having established righteousness, you become the king. Now, he should be happy now. Should be contented. But that's not the case. So therefore, he is asking Sri Krishna, what is that to be achieved, knowing which nothing else remains to be achieved? Then he says, listen, Bhishma Pitamaha is our great grandfather. He's lived life long. He's seen it all. We'll go there and ask him only. And then Yudhishthira goes and asks Bhishma Pitamaha. And Bhishma Pitamaha gives Vishnu Sahasranama. You understand? 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. So he asks, what knowing which there remains nothing else to be known? Because attaining which, what thereafter, attaining which, what remains, nothing remains to be attained. Because I thought achieving this is ultimate and I achieved something. After that I find, this is nothing, I still need to go a long way. Sometimes when you climb the mountain, you don't see any other peak. You think that's it. So you get excited, you say a little bit only, I can see it, and then you walk. And as you're getting closer to the peak, you see another peak or a few more peaks. And when you scale those peaks, you see a few more. So once you reach Everest, there is thereafter no more higher peaks. You understand? Therefore, attaining which there remains nothing else to be attained. Where you can say, yes, I have arrived. I can say that I am contented. Thereafter, there is no pressure in me to do something, or there is pressure in me to not do something. You see us, all of us have some pressure or the other, to do something or not to do something. Isn't it? In the case of in the case of self-realized soul who has reached the Supreme Brahman, there is no pressure to do anything. There is no pressure not to do also. In our case, there is tremendous pressure to do, a pressure not to do certain things. Understand? They become absolutely free. That is what he said. They attain Param Siddhim. So beautifully he says, Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munayas Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. I will again declare the supreme knowledge, the best of knowledges, which having known all sages have gone from here, from this entanglement, from this embodiment, from this body, from this world, to ultimate perfection. Let's conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.